We are 5 days from Election Day in the United States. The Harris and Trump campaigns are both focusing on key Sunbelt states today. And the Democratic nominee is criticizing her Republican rival over what he had to say about women last night. Have a look.
And my people told me about 4 weeks ago, I was saying, no, I want to protect the people. I want to protect the women of our country. I said, sir, I just think it's inappropriate for you to say, pay these guys a lot of money. Can you believe it? I said, well, I'm going to do it whether the women like it or not. I'm going to protect them.
This is just the latest on a series of reveals by the former president of how he thinks about women and their agency.
The Harris and Trump campaigns have both put a lot of effort into Pennsylvania. It's a swing state that could decide who goes to the White House. And Bucks County is a key district near Philadelphia. Earlier, Michael Serapio spoke with a Pennsylvania state senator, Steve Santasiero. He chairs the Bucks County Democratic Committee.
Senator, thank you for being with us.
Pleasure to be with you, Michael. Thank you.
Listen, it looks like the road to 270 will require Pennsylvania, particularly for Kamala Harris. How much pressure does that create for you and your team on the ground right now?
Well, I think everyone understands the stakes of this election. I think we've understood that for some time now. So I'm not sure that there's any added pressure, but I do believe that we all take understand we have a special obligation to make sure that we win in Pennsylvania for Vice President Harris.
Mm-hmm. And my understanding is the state has already seen about 1 million advance ballots returned to their respective county board of elections. The early accounts say that the advance votes are leaning heavily Democrat. Does that give you any kind of comfort right now?
Yeah, well, it is in keeping with what the experience has been since we passed Act 77 back in 2019. It's a state law that enables people to vote by mail. And since that time, it's been a disproportionate Democratic vote. So I'm encouraged that that trend has continued. I'm also very encouraged, at least here in Bucks County, that right now, as of, I think, 24 hours ago, we were over 69 or 68% of Democrats having returned their ballots. So, requesting the ballots is important, but then actually getting them back in is really critical. If we stay on this pace, I feel confident that we will get to a point where by election night, somewhere around 94, 95% will have returned their ballots. Obviously, we are pushing to try to get as close to 100% as possible. But that was the number back in 2020, and I think if we're, in that ballpark, we're in a good position.
Mm-hmm. You and I were talking, and it's interesting because the advance ballots have certainly been attacked by the Trump campaign the first time around, the second time around, and right now you are saying that there are videos that are circulating that is casting some doubt on those advance ballots. How worrying is that?
Well, it's a concern. There was one really, frankly, racist video that circulated yesterday. It was quickly taken down when it was called out. It had a man of Asian descent opening up mail-in ballots that were not real mail-in ballots, finding a Trump vote, and then ripping it up. And the intent was pretty clear to make it seem as if that the mail-in ballot system is not on the up and up, that it is going to be used in a fraudulent way to help Kamala Harris. And that both undermines the integrity of our vote-by-mail system, but it also then sets the predicate for the lie after the election, should Kamala Harris win, that she wasn't, in fact, the victor. It's what we saw in 2020, and I'm starting to see more of an effort by people affiliated or at least supporting Donald Trump to do the same thing this time.
Mm-hmm. Now, if you look at the polls, they say Pennsylvania is essentially a toss-up, that when they look at the numbers, depending on the polling firm, things fall within the margin of error. I'm wondering, though, with you being a state senator, do the polls actually reflect what you're seeing on the ground, or are you seeing one advantage for one party over the other?
So, it's very hard, of course, when you get into those last couple of weeks of an election to know with any certainty. But you have a gut feeling, has been my experience over the 25 years that I've been involved in politics here in Pennsylvania. And that gut feeling in my case is that we are going to win here. And that's born mostly by anecdotal evidence of voter reactions when we canvass at the doors, some of the things we're hearing from other people about many Republicans, frankly, as well as independents, who are just done with Donald Trump and will not vote for him.
Mm-hmm. Now, of course, your governor was reportedly shortlisted in that it could have been a Harris-Shapiro ticket instead of a Harris-Walz ticket. Given how things are right now in Pennsylvania, how close the numbers are, was that a missed opportunity?
Well, listen, Josh Shapiro is a personal friend of mine, and I was among many Democratic elected officials here in Pennsylvania who was pushing for him to be on the ticket. Look, Governor Walz is a wonderful vice presidential candidate. He's done great things in his home state of Minnesota. And I think at the end of the day, Vice President Harris and he will win here in PA. Do I think that Governor Shapiro would have helped the ticket here in Pennsylvania? No doubt about that. But, you know, the great thing about Josh Shapiro is that he works hard. And he's out there right now working hard for this ticket, stomping, you know, up and down Pennsylvania, across the state, and just about every region of the state, working to make sure that we're successful on November 5th. So I'm confident that that will happen.
Okay, Senator, I'm going to tap into your long experience then in the state of Pennsylvania, because when you look at Bucks County, your county, Hillary Clinton won it by less than 1% when she was leading the Democratic ticket. 4 years later, Joe Biden wins the county by about 4.5%. You're on the ground. You're talking to people. Are you sensing a greater enthusiasm for your party and for your candidate this time around?
Right. So you were talking about Bucks County, I think specifically, that she won Bucks County because she lost. So I think actually that there are a couple of interesting things, Michael, to note here. First of all, the groundswell of Democratic enthusiasm, and that has translated into Democratic volunteers, is unlike anything we've seen here since 2008 when Barack Obama ran the first time. And that has translated into a tremendous ground game, which, frankly, I know for a fact the other side does not have. That enthusiasm also, I think, is going to translate into a bigger margin for Kamala Harris on November 5th than even Joe Biden got. Now, Joe Biden won the county, as you say, by 4 points. That's about 17,000 votes. I think we can improve on that this time around, and that will obviously help Kamala Harris throughout, when the tally for the rest of Pennsylvania is taken. But that enthusiasm is really a significant thing, because I think it does speak to a broader environment or the atmosphere in which we are holding this election, and I think that's going to help a great deal. And then I get back to those disaffected Republicans. We had a Republicans for Harris event in Washington Crossing, Pennsylvania, not far from where I'm sitting now, last week, and I attended that, and the vice president was there, and we had a lot of Republicans come to that, and they are firmly in the camp of Vice President Harris, because they know that there is indeed a threat to the institutions of our democracy should Donald Trump win this election.
Senator, we are watching from this side of the border. Thank you very much for joining us.